Hey everybody, Daniel here. Now, I was originally going to do a reaction video for Goku vs. Superman 3, but since there's already a lot of those out there, I figure I'd do something a little bit more off the cuff. Talk about some of the Easter eggs I noticed, some of the things I liked. Going forward, this is going to be my last Goku vs. Superman video for a while, at least until I get around to doing fight breakdowns for all three of the videos. Now, after this, I plan on doing videos talking about feats and fights from comics and anime I like, breaking it down from a martial artist perspective, talking about things that I just think are cool. So if that sounds like something you'd like, make sure to like, share, follow all of that nonsense. And with that, let's get started. In terms of the pre-fight analysis, I really don't have all that much to say. It was cool to learn about Heroes Goku. Like I said before, I really didn't know all that much about the guy. Getting to see that he could outspeed a god that could see the future was really cool. It's just the pure comic book anime nonsense that I love. That sort of high end immeasurable speed kind of nonsense. You get his powers laid out here. You got the telepathy, the telekinesis. Yeah, you know him. He shoots laser beams out of his hands, and apparently out of his feet, which I kind of forgot about. That was really kind of funny. I wish that would have played a part in the fight. Just him putting his feet in Superman's face and just blasting him with a Kamehameha. That would have been pretty cool, but unfortunately, we didn't get that. You get your character histories laid out in these nice little bullet points. Down here at the bottom, you got, not a bad dad. You guys are just mean for Goku. And, outside of memes, I generally agree with this. I do think him being a bad dad is sort of overstated, even if it is kind of fun to, poke the bear's nest for people who really defend the guy. But Death Battle making this gag is just really funny to me. For Superman, I love a lot of the goofy cartoon images that they used. To me, that's just sort of cute. And then down here at the bottom, we have all of his love interests, all the LLs. He has a long history, including, dating mermaids and such. Right at the end, they have Wonder Woman. I think that's just really funny to acknowledge all of that. Now, you have a lot of Superman's powers laid out. Unfortunately, I think that they really didn't use that many of his powers, at least not to the full advantage. They even brought up a lot of his Silver Age powers and used zero of them. They didn't really have him freezing Goku with his frost breath or using it to create whirlwinds or anything. That was sort of disappointing, especially when they're acknowledging all of them. I mean, they even have stuff listed here like time travel and the Genesis powers. And not too much of that is even really used, aside from my favorite part of the fight, which we'll get into here in a minute. That's probably my biggest disappointment. Is just the showcase of powers, even for Goku and Superman, was just a little lacking. It was mostly flying brick punching. Uh, Not that the fight wasn't top tier, it was, but we'll get into that. And I thought it was important that I at least acknowledge some of the shortcomings that at least I felt from the fight. And of course, it wouldn't really be a Superman fight analysis if we didn't acknowledge his long list of freaking weaknesses. I really think most of his weaknesses are so freaking antiquated and only still exist because, people know about them. Uh, I don't think they serve much of a purpose in terms of a story perspective anymore, especially when you got these extra dimensional archetypical gods that serve as a lot of his rogues gallery. But they're here. They even sort of acknowledge a lot of these in the analysis, which is that's important to me. It's important not only to talk about the weaknesses of his that exist, but why they really just don't play all that much of a role in the fight. The fact that they talked about Super Sore in the analysis was also super cool. I really would have loved to have seen this play a role in the fight somehow. Having Goku chopping off Super Sore's tail for a meal, like as a little reference to Dragon Ball, that would have been super cool. We didn't get that. We really didn't need that. It was just cool to see him. I freaking love this guy. I mean, look at him. Look at his little face. He's wonderful. And with that, the fight proper gets started. I really love that they're just, already going at it, and they have this little injustice clash right here. They're just having a great time. You can tell on their faces. You can tell from the way Goku's talking. One of the things I've always hated most is when people always just try to dismiss this, versus concept as, oh, Goku and Superman wouldn't fight. They'd be friends. Well, no crap, they'd be friends. And you know what Goku does with his friends? He punches them right in the schnoz. Goku loves a good challenge, and Superman would probably oblige. He probably wouldn't go nearly as far as these fights make it out to be. They'd find a way to have a safe little sparring match. But this is exactly the kind of relationship I sort of picture between the two. They go on a little adventure. They stop whatever big bad's going on, and then Goku's like, "Hey, I got stronger. Let me punch you in the schnoz." Then Goku goes Super Saiyan Blue or Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. I'm not going to say that. The fight escalates and they take it into space. Goku starts, shooting a bunch of energy blasts, and some of my favorite parts start to happen. Like Superman's all deflecting them, shooting them with his heat vision, even grabs one and it just disintegrates in his hands, and then he smacks one away and he blows up the moon. Oh, look at this dude. He's just, poor Superman. He's like, oh man, I messed up. I just sort of feel for the dude in the scene. He's like, oh man, not again. Did we really take it this far? I almost thought that they would have him rebuild the moon right there. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Superman once rebuilt the moon after it had been blown up and pretty much just made into dust. Uh, I didn't really expect them to do that. That would have really messed with the flow of the fight. It would have been kind of neat to see, but this is just one of my favorite feats. It's probably going to end up in my top 5 Superman feats that I'm going to be making next week. I just wanted to share it with everybody now, though, because of seeing the moon blow up and then seeing this poor little face. Oh, man. And with that, Superman decides it's time to stop holding back, and he's all like, gives his little world made of cardboard speech. And then we get, the retcon punches or the universe altering punches or the I'm going to hit you so hard every version of you's going to feel it punches. The fact that they really just went all in on that is my favorite part of the fight. This is where the fight peaks, and I really want to talk about it. Like I said, it sort of acknowledges every version of you's going to feel it that they did in the pre-fight analysis with Ultimate Brainiac and New 52 Superman. But it was really more of a more famous comic book panel. And that's when he fought Golden Age Superman back in Infinite Crisis, but before they became one from, Infinite Frontiers. And you had every Superman across every timeline and all possibilities fighting each other because of just the way their fists were clashing. It's absolute, just pure Superman awesomeness. And we get like an acknowledgement of that in the fight with some Easter eggs that I really, really want to talk about. The first punch leads us to Goku Black fighting Ultraman, Super Saiyan Rose going up against this Heat Vision Blast. Before we had Eobard Thawne fighting Goku Black, I thought that this might be a possible fight matchup. It's really neat to see them just kind of acknowledge that this might have been a possibility out there in the multiverse. And then we get Super Saiyan 4 versus Superman Blue with his electric powers. I got my electric power Superman acknowledged. I am so happy. I'm sure Grant Morrison's happy somewhere out there. And we even get a little Masako X voice with his Kaioken. It was really awesome that they at least, had that in there. It just really made me think of the previous fights and just, how hype I was at the time and how hype I am for this. And then we have Xeno Goku going up against the Thought Robot or Cosmic Armor Superman. Look at him just reaching out there. I don't know how you can see this and just not be absolute hyped. This is when the fight peaked for me, and I just knew I was watching something really special, something that was really catering to my tastes. And then the fight goes back to Earth. At first, you get, Goku trying to whack at him without any, power up, and Superman's like, oh, come on, dude. Stop it, man. You're being silly. And then Goku gets his time to shine when Superman goes to punch him and he goes Ultra Instinct. This shot was really cool where he dodged and then all the hits happened. It was just really showing the power of Ultra Instinct, and that was fun. They even did the Superman punches from Man of Steel, but this time they had Goku block it. I mean, look at this. This is so great. After that, Superman has to go all super flare, and then he has to fly away to power up, and that's where we're cooling down, and the climax of the fight's happening, and oh, is Goku gonna finally pull it off? Goku launches the Kamehameha to end all Kamehamehas as Superman's flying around the entire galaxy, maybe the entire universe, getting sun dip after sun dip. And Goku's just, finally, full power against full power. And that's what he wants. This really feels like Goku in this moment, and he launches it. And then, Superman's flying right through it. And Goku's like, fam, no. Kaioken! That is so cool. And Superman here, he's just, he's powering through it. He's shooting his heat vision through it. He's punching through it. He's launching back. He's golden. He's a little reference to when he was sun dipped, probably from Our World at War, or maybe even Superman Prime 1 million. And it's the ultimate punch. It really reminds me of the World Forger punch. They acknowledged that during the here's a little image of it of Superman flying through all of the suns. When he was fighting the World Forger. They show this during the pre-fight analysis and post-fight analysis. And the way Superman's, rocking his fist back for his Superman punch just really reminded me of that comic book moment. It is really cool. And then Goku's going all Susanoo to meet his punch. It's punch against punch. This does bring me to another little disappointment. Getting to see Goku go all Susanoo to meet Superman's punch was pretty cool, but we didn't get that giant kaiju battle between the two Susanoo forms. And normally I'd be like, well, I don't have to see every little thing, especially when it's just them both getting to do the same thing. However, as I said, Superman really didn't get to showcase off a lot of his powers in the fight proper. And I really think getting to see them both do this, at least for the final punch, would have been a lot better, at least in my opinion. I know there are probably some people out there that disagree with me. Now, I think one of the reasons they might not have done it is they were kind of going for a Goku knows how to use his martial arts abilities better, and this is sort of tied to Superman's. However, both of them have done these forms around the same number of times, so I'm not sure if that's a valid excuse. This is a very minor complaint. I just wanted to bring it up. And as I'm sure a lot of you already know, Goku lost. He's 0-3. Some people expected this. Some people are disappointed by this. I've even seen a couple bad apples, crying bias or rubbing it in the faces of other fans. And I kind of find that kind of behavior to be a little bit annoying in the community. However, I don't think there's a whole bunch of that. For the most part, everyone's been pretty good natured about it, especially because of what comes next. And that's this little fist bump right here. They managed to keep both Superman and Goku in character throughout the fight, even after the death. And that's not something that's super easy to do on a show called Death Battle, where you have a guy like Superman who doesn't kill, and a dude like Goku who might punch his friends in the snoz, but he doesn't go out of his way to murder them. And they're just like looking at this shattered multiverse and going, oh, now we have to fix everything, but I'll get you next time. It's just a really cool acknowledgement, and I think it softens the blow a lot for people who might be disappointed. And there's also some pretty cool Easter eggs in here I'd like to point out real quick. You got an animated Superman flying around with a Goku still flying on Nimbus, so it's probably early Z, late Dragon Ball. That's pretty cool. They have a freaking JoJo reference, the whole Dio walking up to a Jotaro battle. Uh, I, I think that's even mullet Superman right there. Yeah, maybe I'm saying things, but I would love to see a Superman with a mullet on Death Battle. That'd be pretty funny. Of the ones I'm able to make out, this is the big one. You have Super Bat fighting Gogeta, and against my better judgment, oh my god, I want that fight. I want that fight so bad it hurts. Oh god. I'm sure everyone's rolling their eyes at me right now, but I mean, just look at that. It has me hyped all over again. And that brings us to the post-fight analysis. They gave Superman a 3-1 odds because they tied them with speed. And overall, I generally agree with this. Superman took strength, experience, and powers. Goku took skill, and I would give him skill by a pretty wide margin, especially when you're adding in all of his martial arts techniques, Ultra Instinct, just being able to like react all the time. And I do agree that while Superman has a lot of martial arts knowledge, it'd be disingenuous to say that he functions on the same level as Goku, especially in terms of like narrative and writing. Speed, I'm a little iffy on. I do think that I would probably give Superman speed, at least in terms of consistency when it comes to these really high end infinite speed feats that they're giving both characters. But I do understand that when you're adding in things like instant transmission and being able to outspeed a god that can see the future, that it does sort of get a little hard to tell who goes where. So they erred on the side of caution. So I can't really, fault them for this. Even here in the results, they say that the theta state is, similar to Ultra Instinct and vice versa, and they're potentially similar speeds. They erred on the side of caution with a lot of this. And I know that, I mean, there's already people that are disagreeing with them. I'm sure there's like a host of debunk videos on the horizon that are going to be super annoying to deal with. I really am not going to dive too far into that. It's a nice little snapshot where they show at least where they stand in terms of like who's better where. And I do think that they gave Goku a lot of time to shine, especially when it comes to his martial arts abilities. This is a really good example of like Goku doing martial arts stuff along with the Ultra Instinct stuff I've already talked about, where he just like pokes Superman in the chest and then boom, right in the heart. So like, did Hit teach him this? It was Hit teaching Goku how to stop hearts in between these battles. Well, I just really think that they were able to talk up Goku and talk about Superman in ways that were a lot more respectful on this go around. That was really, really lacking in Goku versus Superman 2 with the Superman can't be beaten nonsense. There are characters that can beat Superman. I could list off 10 off the top of my head. That's not what this video is about. So let's move on to talk about one of my other favorite things. And that's this little spot right here at the end where they once again acknowledge that this is something for fun. It's that same question of, well, why would Superman and Goku fight? They'd be friends. And like I said before, Goku fights his friends, and this is just something fun to talk about. Some people find it fun to discuss who would win in a fight. Yes, it is impossible to objectively prove which character is stronger. A lot of times it comes down to narrative. We have street level characters that kick out the Spectre and street level characters that wrestle the Hulk. This is just something that we're doing because we want to. Now, as I said before, some people get pretty toxic with it, and that's just something that we all need to distance ourselves from. Let toxic people acknowledge each other, and eventually they'll peter themselves out. They'll get tired. One of the last things I'd like to acknowledge is the soundtrack, Super by Brandon Yates. This song was incredibly upbeat, fit the choreography super well, fit the characters very well, and it's just a lot of fun to listen to. I immediately added this to my gym tunes playlist. I just got back from the gym actually whacking a heavy bag to this song. Brandon, I don't know if you've done more music for Death Battle. I really don't follow the soundtracks all that well, but good job, man. Do more. It's amazing. Everyone should go support this guy. And there you have it, Goku versus Superman 3. This is my favorite death battle from this season so far. Anyway, we got Galactus versus Unicron on the horizon. I bet that's going to be pretty amazing. I've been waiting for that one for like 10 years now. Anyway, if I had to give this a number, I'd probably say a solid 9 out of 10. I don't really rank a lot of death battles much higher than that. This was very good, very enjoyable to watch. I think it was pretty respectful to both characters. We managed to keep them both in character. If you haven't seen it yet, I don't know why you're watching my review, Little Easter Egg Hunt. I'd go watch it. And if you have seen it, comment, let me know what you thought. Even if you hated it, I'd like to hear other people's perspectives, even if I might disagree with them. And with that, this has been Daniel with Truth, Justice, and all of that nonsense. I'll catch you next time.